Hello, it's Victoria Pendragon. Welcome to my alternate reality. It's the 4th of July when I'm recording this. It's hot and raining every 5 minutes and then stopping. So a strange day. Sun is out, brilliant at the moment. The fan is going. And I've been robbed. And the curious thing is, I think I robbed myself. I know that sounds odd, but here's the thing. I have what I call my gallery downstairs, where I keep my available works of art on display so that I can see what I've got to go to a show or take with me if I'm going somewhere or whatever. It's all up there. And a couple of weeks ago, a couple that I've met recently showed up at the door. They'd never been to the house before. I invited them in. I was showing them the lower level. We're in the upper level now. And that's where my gallery is, in the lower level. And I was showing them the guest room down there, and to my great surprise, the gentleman of the couple just swung open the door to the gallery and said, "What's in here?" And I was a little taken aback because people you don't know that well don't often just swing open doors to your house and say, "What's in here?" like it was their house. So I was a little off. And they were taken by the art and were looking at it and asking questions about it, because it's some of my earlier works and people often have a hard time figuring out how I did that. So I was explaining to them how I did that and gesturing to a piece on the wall to give them an example of the sort of work I did, and the piece I was gesturing to was gone. And then I noticed that the piece that they were looking at was next to an empty space, and that piece was gone. And between being flustered at the entrance to the room and flustered now that two paintings were gone, I kind of stumbled through things, thinking while I'm saying one thing, thinking, where can these things have gone? I must have forgotten to record it in my inventory, so on and so forth. I'm a very, very organized person, but like anybody, I forget things from time to time. Well, time to time. And when finally they left, I came up and I checked my inventory, and they were listed as being in the house. Now, two of them, no, there were two of them. And I saw some others that I had actually mislabeled that were somewhere else. But these two, and I knew that because I know where most of my paintings are. They're like my babies. And the odd thing was that when I was telling them about the work, while I was distracted by my thoughts about where the work was that wasn't there, I had an image of a person that I kind of thought was me, out of the corner of my eye, so kind of off to the right. And her hair was she was younger than I, probably about half my age. And her hair was all dark and kind of slick, but also short. And she was gesturing to the one missing piece and saying, I think I could afford to let that go. It's not my best work by far. And this is a memory, but an odd kind of a memory, a kind of an off-to-the-side memory. And I had that. So I didn't quite get it, but two pieces of art were gone, and I had that strange memory. I told Robert about it. Robert is my husband. And he said, well, that's strange because, he said, I bought your two straw hats out of the car. I keep them in the trunk of the car in a hat box in the summertime so that wherever I am, I have an appropriate hat to wear because I don't like to be out in the sun. And he said, I bought them in the wintertime, and I put them in the guest room closet. He said, and I went to get them out for you the other day as the sunny weather's here again, and they were gone. He said, I thought you took them. And he knew that I hadn't taken them because just a couple days before I had asked for them. So 2 paintings and 2 hats just gone missing. He, by the way, is just as organized as I am. I'm sure we'd drive anybody crazy. But he knew exactly where he'd put them, and they're not there. Well, in the way of the world, I went out and bought a straw hat, because usually if something's gone missing and you buy something to replace it, whatever it is, it'll show up. That's just the way of things. Well, it didn't show up. And a week went past and it didn't show up. And it hasn't shown up. They haven't shown up. I've checked with my inventory lists, double-checked them, and I have apparently robbed myself from another dimension. I say this because yesterday, which is what prompted this video, I had a dream shortly before I awoke. And in the dream, there I was, this young person, like half my age, very edgy kind of an artist. And she was working with performance art, which is interesting because performance art is something that's always fascinated me. I've never had the whatever it takes to do that, but it's fascinated me. And this woman, this other me, was a performance artist in this dream, and I met her. And she was telling me about her work, which was very socially conscious. And it was her. And the most interesting thing that came out of that dream was a phrase that she said, and I can't put it in context because, like many dreams, it was sort of fragmented by the time I woke up and became conscious. But the phrase was, does the ash remember the fire? And I thought that an interesting phrase because it was like 2 different realities that she was talking about. And the ash gets to be an ash because something is burned to make it. The fire burns wood, and an ash is created. But how does that happen? And does the ash remember the fire? You know, it's a Zen kind of a thing, because of course an ash can't think to begin with, but still. I found that very compelling, and it stayed with me. And the whole thing has stayed with me, and it's just plain odd. And more than a little disconcerting. For about the last week or so after the paintings went missing, I was overly conscious of everything that I couldn't find the moment I went to look for it, wondering if it had slipped into another dimension and if somehow I was now living on the edge of something where everything was just going to disappear around me. Thank heaven, no. So I feel more comfortable now that 2 weeks or so have passed, and a little more steady. But of course the paintings are not back. The hats are not back. I don't expect them back. I expect she, whoever she is, has them in another dimension. I'm thinking interdimensional scavenger hunt. Like, okay, go to another dimension and grab up a couple pieces of art or artifacts and bring them back to this dimension. And so I seem to have robbed myself. And that's the end of that story, which may be unfinished. We'll soon know. Thank you for listening, and enjoy your own alternate realities. Bye-bye. Nipper, you going to say bye?